So now we're going to begin in chapter 4. Chapter 4 is going to have some familiarities for anybody who's ever taken algebra in their lives. So we're going to be particularly interested in lines, linear stuff. So y equals mx plus b, and the slope and the intercept, and what do those mean, that kind of thing. So we're going to start off by looking at this question. In particular, we're interested in scatter diagrams. What do they look like? What do they show us? That kind of thing. So around the world, which countries are best at math? Are rich countries better at math than poor countries? These are questions that people want to know who work, well, in education, for starters. So you have to choose which one you think is better. So if you think South Korea is better, you give South Korea an X. If you think Israel's better, you give Israel an X, right? Okay. So pause me for a second and go check it out. Check whichever ones you think are stronger. Okay, so I don't know if you knew which ones you thought were stronger or not, but you can check yourself, and we can check ourselves by going to this website. There it is. All right, it's going to take it a second to load. Okay, now automatically it has some countries selected up here. I'm just going to deselect all. And then I'm going to look for the countries in the list that I was interested in. So, for example, South Korea and Israel. So I'm going to go here, and I'm looking through the list. Oops, Israel, check Israel. South Korea, check South Korea. Right there. Okay, so they have about the same GDP. They're both about over to the right, about the same amount. But South Korea is much higher. Look at the average score for South Korea is 597. See it over in the left-hand margin? And Israel, if I get to Israel, is only 463. You can kind of see it over here. It pops up when you let the mouse hover. All right, so South Korea was definitely the stronger of those pairs. Okay, now what about Lithuania and Turkey? Well, you do the same thing. You go back, you can deselect all, then you can get Turkey right there, and Lithuania is right there. Oops, Lithuania is much higher. Okay, so I'm going to go fill these out, and I'll be right back. Poof, there they are. All right, so I don't know if you knew this, but we are far worse than Singapore in terms of mathematics for 8th graders. Hungary is a little bit better than Italy. Russia is actually significantly higher than Norway. Most people wouldn't guess that because, they think of Russia as, well, not as strong perhaps as Norway, which is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. That's true, but Russia is much smarter at math. So there we go. We've got our questions. Now, how many did you get right? That I can't answer for you. But how many you should have gotten right? Well, if a chimpanzee was going to do this, just, give him a banana for each side or whatever, he would get half of them right. And a half of 5 is 2.5. So he would get 2.5 correct. Did you do better than chimpanzee? That I can't answer for you. But honestly, for a lot of people, the answer is no. And the reason is because you bring your own baggage about how the world works to the graph or to the questions. So you just think, America's awesome. Of course we're better than some country named Singapore, right? Not knowing that Singapore is actually one of the highest countries in the planet. That kind of thing. And so now you've seen something about a scatter diagram. A scatter diagram has a lot of power. It's able to show us relationships between two quantitative variables of the same individual. And each individual, like in our examples, each country. And each individual data set is represented by a point, and the explanatory variable is on the horizontal axis. So, for example, our explanatory variable is income per person. Our vertical variable, our response variable, is math achievement. And I want to take a moment. For example, this scatterplot right here is the same scatterplot you're looking at when you look at this. It's just on a slightly different scale. But Gapminder, which is a site we're going to be using a lot, is so incredible because you can also press play and watch time pass, right? And the dots change based on the size of population. We'll talk more about that later. And you can spot different continents, see yellow and orange. You can pick out different countries, that kind of thing. You can track a country over time and watch it and how it changes. Gapminder is amazing, and it shows how powerful scatter diagrams can be. Scatter diagrams are really, really potent, and they're going to get used a lot in this class, for chapter 4, that is.